Yo guys, welcome back to another episode of the Back to Me podcast. This is one of those special editions called Authentically You. As you guys know who listen to the podcast for a while, I don't invite many guests on, but when I do, it's people who I believe are living in full alignment with their truest selves. You guys know what Back to Me is. It's about letting go of everything that you're not so that you can take the path back to your highest self, your most joyful self, your most powerful self. And anybody I've brought on the podcast is someone that I know from either my relationship with them or what I've seen over a period of time, that they are living their authentically true self, okay? And today's guest actually is someone I know for a fact is, okay? It's like we often see people in the public eye who have an image and have a brand and you don't know what's really going on. With today's guest, I know, because we're friends for a while. We know each other many years now. I've actually been on his podcast a couple of times. I spoke at one of his events here in Dubai. And I know for a fact this guy's living everything he's talking about. And even bigger, he's doing actually more than most people know. So with all that being said, without giving too much away, I'd like to welcome today my very special guest and my friend, Frazer Brookes. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, mate. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome.
It's different because I've been on yours a couple of times, and I said to him recently, as if like last year first, and then a few months ago when I was on the other one with you, I said, I need you on mine now. It's time.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. This is super cool.
Because you've been asking me questions, and now I get to ask you whatever I want.
I know. I'm a bit nervous. I'm like, oh God.
And you know my style because I don't care.
Yeah, no. We've got zero prep. We're just straight in. Let's go.
You know, anytime, even when like an event a few years ago in Florida, Frazer was the MC of the event and I was one of the keynotes and he gave me an introduction. And even at his event earlier in the year in Dubai, like he likes to trash me as much as possible in his keynotes. So I just can't promise any safety here today at all. Like,
That's what I'm nervous for.
Do you know what I mean? Because this guy, there's just sometimes no words. So let's get into it for the people. I like to get straight in for the guys who follow the podcast. And as I said, this is called Authentically You. It's about people who are actually living, who found their truth, found their clarity, and they're living in it. Because I think today, I'm always talking about it's harder and harder to find your truth because the world is pulling you away from yourself. With social media and everything, you're in distraction, okay? We're constantly comparison mode. You're somebody who's really living true to themselves, okay? So how would I describe you, because I don't think I have the words in my vocabulary to accurately do you justice. How would you, for people who are finding you and hearing you for the first time, who is Frazer Brookes?
Well, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a Liverpool fan, which I know you hate.
I'll bleep that.
Delete cut. I am a very passionate content creator, mentor, teacher, trainer, coach. I think I'm obviously big inside the network marketing space. Love it or hate it. I absolutely love it. It's a big part of my life. It's in my blood. But I think for me, it's the most important thing that I could say about myself is that I just show up and tell it how it is. Okay. I hold back some stuff. I don't swear so much. I don't use the language that I do when I'm watching the football or whatever. But realistically, I just want to give, man. I'm a giver. I love giving away stuff. I love giving my time. I love giving my energy. I love giving my knowledge. And
too much, I would say to some guys. So we have often conversations. I'm trying to like say we need to pull back to me, back to you. We had this chat before.
100%.
When did that all? And thank you for you see now why I couldn't do that justice, right? That's a serious list of things. How did you start? Like, what was your start? When did you first? I like to talk from the entrepreneurial path because I'm a big fan of the entrepreneurial path. I became an entrepreneur in 2010 into when I was 25. Back before it was sexy, I always say. For me, it was about freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, just ultimately doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, not being told what to do. I had a problem with authority. What was your defining moment or your awakening to, first of all, the entrepreneur part? We can look at there's different things since, but what was the entrepreneurial spirit? When was that ignited for you?
So my story goes way back. So my grandparents owned a supermarket called Brookes. So it's Frazer Brookes. His name was John Brookes, Brookes, but also Safeways, right? Yeah. So there was Brookes, there was Safeways. It was huge. So my dad used to work in the supermarket. He got super entrepreneurial because of his environment. And then when he met my mum, he got started in network marketing.
Okay.
And I was always surrounded by hustle, work your ass off, help other people get what they want so that you get what you want. And I just grew up with that. However, every time I'd go to an event with my dad in network marketing, we traveled all over the world doing events. I did on average an event every 3 or 4 days, like whether it was at home or on the road. My dad always took me with him. And it was always are you Simon's son? Because my dad was so big, like he was rock star level.
So he was a leader in network marketing.
Yeah, had huge organization, 156,000 people all over the world, was doing weekly events in the Philippines for 2,500 people and like quarterly events in the UK for thousands of people. It was crazy. So it was, you're Simon's son, you're Simon's son. And that became my identity. Oh, I'm Simon's son.
Yeah.
And I became proud of it until I got to like 18. My dad sat me down, he shared with me the presentation. I was like, Dad, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because if I've got to be like you in order to succeed, I know I won't succeed. So I'd rather not do it. But I started reading the books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know it changed a lot of people. For me, that was it. 2010 as well.
That was, I came off the cruise ship. I was in the airport on the way home. I'd signed a contract to go on another cruise ship. I was given a gift of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, you work for money, have money work for you, which I knew already, but that was the first time I saw it articulated.
Exactly.
And I literally called, when I got back to Ireland, I called Miami and I said, I'm not coming on the ship. So that book, like, because of that book said, let's go.
It was that much of a big decision.
Like that, immediately.
Wow. Well, yeah, for me, it was like, I went down to my dad's office. I was living at home at the time. I was upstairs and I read the book and I kind of, a few days had passed, but I could not stop thinking about, like, I wanted to build assets. I wanted to do network marketing. Like, I could finally do it. Went downstairs and said, Dad, I'm going to do it. After 4 years of saying no, from 18 to 22, I was like, not going to do it. Bang, I'm going to do it. And he said, what's changed? I said, social media. This was in 2010 before.
You said that in 2010?
Yeah, 2010, I was like, I'm going to build this because I knew that network marketing in particular was a relationship business, as is every business really, but turning strangers to friends, friends to family. And I thought, I could just speak to strangers on social media, and I could build a business from it. So that's when it really started, when I realized, that was the first moment where I realized, hang on a minute, I could leverage a tool to speak to people I don't know, to be able to make sales, to be able to build an organization.
We talk a lot network marketing, and a mentor at different stages of our life, Eric, often talked about the visionary versus the realist. That was a serious, and I use that all the time, that visionary and real. That was a visionary move, because when I was in 2009 on the ships, people were saying, oh, this thing called Twitter, people can follow what you're doing on the ships, or it was Facebook. And I was like, yeah. But for you to have that, that was visionary, dude.
Well, mate,
where did that come from? Like, was that you in your room looking at it thinking, I can do this, or out and about and just hearing people talk socially at the pub? Like, where did it kind of fester? Where did that kind of come alive? Do you know what I mean? If you could look back.
For sure. So it was actually before I was on social media. I was on Skype. Remember Skype?
Skype, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most people don't even know what Skype is now, right?
Skype dropped the ball there, didn't they? They dropped the ball.
They did. And I was just on there, and it was one of those really weird, like, I want to see how this works.
Okay.
I think because maybe the entrepreneurial energy was starting to flow, and I was like, how are they like making money from this free platform? And I was on the top, and I was like, file, new, all these different things, and it said search. Search, what the heck? So I clicked on search and it said enter location and enter keyword. So I went Liverpool entrepreneur, and it came up with 2 people in Liverpool who were entrepreneurs on Skype.
I didn't even know you could do that on Skype.
Mate, no one did.
I just saw search for contacts. I had no idea.
Yeah, there was a search where you could actually enter a keyword. So obviously Skype's not there anymore. So anyone who wants to like lead generate from that.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't even know if it gets used. I think it's just Microsoft Teams or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So 2 guys came up. One was called Svetoslav, who was a Russian dude, and the other one was called Sergey, another Russian dude. I'm like, no, I've typed in Liverpool, like UK, not Liverpool, Russia. If there is a Liverpool in Russia, there's not. So I just messaged this Svetoslav, because his name's Slava. We became friends, but he didn't respond. And I messaged Sergey, and he responded back straight away saying, hey. Wow. And I was like, whoa, I've just found someone who could be a perfect customer or client or team member.
Yeah.
But I was petrified because he was Russian, and my only dealings with Russian was Rocky 4, right? I'm like, there's right? Like, I will kill you. Yeah. I'll crush you. So I was like, yeah. I ended up speaking to him. We ended up traveling the world together. If it wasn't for him, I would never have gone to Moscow to meet Svetlana.
Wow.
So it was like this crazy moment of literally mouse, one button, Liverpool, entrepreneur, send a message. And I ended up getting married and having a kid.
So it's
Not
funny.
immediately after,
Yeah,
but
yeah, not like next week.
Oh, there we go.
I would like to order wine.
What I like.
You have a Russian wine for me in Liverpool.
Yeah,
Keep it real here.
yeah, keep it real. There we go.
But you know, people say often, we talked about this before. People, you're lucky, you live a great life, and you have a wife, family, beautiful family, live in Dubai. I always say, yeah, but we chose this. Like,
Yeah.
you had to say yes. That was a great example of you saying yes, taking action, not thinking what if, who, just seeing something and taking action. Like you had to say yes to end up where you are 13 years later.
100%. And I said no for 4 years. Like it was no, yes. And then it was, I'm not leaving. I didn't leave home till I was 28 because I was, number one, I was scared. Number two, I was living with my mentor. I was like, I'd be stupid to do it. But also we were living in $1 million mansion. Mum and dad had made millions from network marketing. So I was a spoiled kid. But what people don't realize.
You had loads of space, kind of felt like you had your own space, like you were on top of something. Yeah,
but moving continent from Liverpool to like Dubai.
Yeah.
I know people are like, oh, you got a great life. There's a massive sacrifice. Don't get to see my family. My brother had a baby like 3 days ago. Not seeing him. Like my friends are all there. You get talked so much. Oh, you're going to Dubai. You sold your soul. You sold your soul and all that. There's lots more to Dubai than just that.
Yeah.
So there is sacrifices, and they always say the great killer of a great life is a good life.
Yeah,
I was living a good life.
Yeah.
I wanted a great life. I wanted to be able to do it to show people what was possible. So I'm here. Got some great friends, but not my childhood friends.
Yeah. Same for myself.
Something had to change, right? The environment had to change. There was a different soil I had to put myself in. And I'm so grateful that I'm here. But yeah, it was always the yes, always led to some great stuff.
Right, always trust. Say yes first, figure it out later.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a bit from there. Obviously started building a team yourself. At what point did you change over from the entrepreneur to kind of more the mentor trainer? Because in network marketing, you have to live it. You have to have to walk the path before you kind of tell others how to do it.
Yeah.
How long what was it that even caused you to make that transition? For me, like I was always good at speaking. I enjoyed being. I always say I was a coach before I was a coach because I was building teams for years. As you know, that's where kind of we connected first. Was in the network marketing, direct sales, all those big events, life-changing events. For me, I knew that was my gift, and I just naturally kind of did more and more and more of it all the time. How did that transition happen to you? Because I know you mentioned it wasn't a natural thing for you to stand up in front and speak to people and all that in front of people and speak to them. Talk about that transition.
Well, yeah, the first time I got given the microphone, my dad introduced me. It was a Crewe Hall in Crewe in the UK. And there was 400 people in the room. It was our first main event, the first one that I'd gone to as a field member. Okay. And the whole back row were my mates. Right, because they're cool, right? You stand in the back. And I said to my dad driving there, I said, because he runs the event, he's emceeing, he's doing the presentation, he's like the best at it, so he's got the mic the longest. I said, you're not putting me on stage, are you? Yeah. He said, no, there's the agenda. I was like, okay, I'm not on stage. So it comes after the break, like my dad settles everyone down. All right, so the next speaker.
He didn't.
He is someone who is so dear to me. Everyone's looking around, and he lives upstairs in my house. Frazer Brookes. Yeah. I was right at the back, sat next to my mate. I looked to the exit, and the only time I've ever seen security guards on the exit door, right? It was literally like my dad had arranged it because he knew that was my first reaction. Was like, I'm leaving. And then I got pinballed down the aisle, like a bowling ball with the lanes up, like boom, 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 boom. And I got on the stage, had no idea, nothing was going through my head. I grabbed the microphone at the very bottom. And it was just shaking like this, right? You could see it just going like this. And I just burst into tears.
Really?
Yeah. Even today, my mates say, hey, when you travel around the world speaking, do you still cry? And I'm like, what are you doing on Monday? They're like working. I'm like, that's a shame. That's a shame. So, the two can play that game. But when I started like doing the speaking and started training my team, I had other people in network marketing come to me and say, hey, would you do a training for our team? Okay. And that was foreign for me. Yeah. I was like, my first reaction was, why would I want to train the competition? That would make no sense. So I went to my dad and said, Dad, I've got this urge to want to teach another organization, but inside something's telling me like, don't train. He said, and he looked at me and said, why would you show your cards if you're playing poker, why would you show your hand to someone else? You're losing your advantage. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I didn't. And I felt physically sick for 9 months after that moment.
Really?
I felt like I wasn't in alignment.
Annoyingness inside.
It was like, no, we're just giving you a sign. This is what you need to do, and you just knocked it back. Wow. So it kept coming. Hey, will you do training? Because I was getting massive success from my systems on social media. Okay. Will you teach? And I just went, screw it. I'm just going to do it. Like, I think it was a Richard Branson
Screw
book,
it,
actually.
do it.
Screw it,
Yeah, yeah,
screw it, do it. But I was like, screw it. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen. So I did this training, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, I thought it was pretty good, but I was not 100% myself.
Okay.
I was like being the person I thought I had to be paid to do the speak, although I did it for free. And 3 days later, knock on the door, big box. I'm like, okay, with my name on it. Like a Sharpie, just Frazer with like the address. It was like not a professional gift or anything. I opened it up and I taught an analogy called frog. So like family, recreation, occupation, goals. Like that's kind of how to build a relationship online. And it was a frog. There was not like a real frog, like a toy frog. And it said, hey, thank you so much. Like a handwritten note, thank you so much. And at that moment, I went, everyone in my organization expects me to just give value. It's like you can't be a prophet in your own village kind of thing. But these guys have taken the time to send me a gift. It was never expected, massively appreciated. And at that moment I went, I'm going to go all in on the coach. I'm 100%. So I cut my income, went from multiple six figures, residual income. When I was playing golf, I was making more than it, more playing golf than I would just be sat at the desk. And I just cut it all. I was like, I'm going completely to zero to prove to myself that if I go all in with this, I could really dominate space.
I just have to jump in on that because as you're talking, I'm reminded when I was building the teams. And I remember when I used to do the events for other teams, when other leaders asked me to do the events for them, and I worked with some of them, traveled all over the world. And I did some for the company, and even when I did events for my team, but I invited everybody else. I always said, like, the more people, more energy, everything. And some of my team really appreciated it, obviously, over time. But I remember the biggest reactions, the biggest support, the biggest thank yous were always. And eventually, the people who you knew the longest, they don't give a shit, actually. They take it for granted. They completely... Now, some are exceptions.
Take it for granted.
Yeah, and some were like really, and they're still good friends say, but many of them are just... They just assumed, and everybody else. And I remember the most enjoyment I always got when I did events for other people or other companies or for other teams. So that makes perfect sense to me. And I never really thought of it until you're kind of saying
Well, it was the classic, like the team would go, hey, have you got 5 minutes free?
Yeah.
Or can I pick your brain for 5 minutes? Whereas other people outside of the organization I was building was, hey, I know you're super busy. Can I take you for lunch? Or can I take you for coffee? Which, although wouldn't take 5 minutes, the 5 minutes, pick your brain for 5 minutes, or if you for 5 minutes, it takes 5 hours. It never takes 5 minutes. The coffee will legit take an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? But I'm building a relationship. So it was a big moment for me. The bank manager, my accountant, financial advisors were like, you are being stupid by throwing this away.
So you didn't maintain the team at the same time?
Didn't. I just, bam, no, gone.
But how was that then? Because surely there's a lot of, as in Ireland, we say grow, a lot of love. You have a lot of grow for your team, right? You have a lot of love for your team. You're proud of it. You built that baby up. They're holding on to you as well. A lot of them, they're like, where's my leader gone? Then you had your dad from the other side, like, what are you doing? Like, where did the courage come? Or what was the transition like? Was it tough? Did you make a decision? I can't do both. Why not do both?
So I edified my dad big time. Like, my dad was my mentor. He was the person who was running everything. So for about a month, I was just directing to my dad, like, hey,
because he was in his team anyway, right?
Yeah, so, like, you've learned everything you can from me. You need to learn everything from him because I've learned it all from him anyway. So go directly to the source. So it became my new upline is someone who mentored my upline. So that happened for about a month. And that was, in fact, I was in Salt Lake City. I was sat in an office on the 8th of November and Bloomberg was on the TV and it flashed up, Donald Trump is the new president of the United States. And I was like, this can't be true.
Right.
And that was actually the sign, again, the universe saying the world's gone mad. Like, the world has gone completely mad. You can make mad decisions as well. And that was it. I just kind of, it took me about 2 months to kind of like really step back, resign, and allow things to kind of settle down so it didn't offend anyone or rock the boat with other people. And then I just went all in. The crazy thing was that it was super scary in a way because I'm so security led. So I like the idea of, I know when everyone says like rent your home, Grant Cardone comes out, I'm security led. So I'm like, no, own my home, settle down, like, do everything in the right order.
I know what I don't have.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it was super scary because I've gone from multiple six-figure income, residual, never have to work a day in my life unless the company happens, something happened with the company. And then all of a sudden, zero for months, zero. Because my intention was, I'm going to give value And if the feedback is positive, then I can do this. If the feedback is not.
So you tested the waters by doing more free events or cheaper events and things like that. Let me just add value first.
Yeah, so I decided to go live every Tuesday, 9 p.m. UK time. And I remember doing it. I had a whiteboard. The iPhone was like below my eye level, so everything was kind of pointing up. There was a creaky floorboard, so every time I walked, it sounds like I farted, right? And it was just so bad. And I would start like this. Hi, folks.
Yeah.
Frazer Brookes here. And it was just, when I look back, it was awful. But the value was there that people were like, this is new. This is fresh. This is exciting. This is an upline I never had. So I kept doing that and doing that and doing that. We'd get like 10, 20, 15, 18, 25 people, 30 people. And I was loving it. I was like, this is actually... And the longer I was doing it for, the more I was kind of going, you know what? I could be a little bit more myself. So instead of going, hi, folks, it was like, hey, guys. Yeah. And then it ended up being, hey, legends. So there was always this growth with that. And it just evolved. And then I remember September 2017. So start January 2017. September 2017, I had someone message me in Manchester, say, hey, we're doing an event. Will you come? No. I'm not speaking on stage. I'd spoke all over the world at this stage, like with my team, but I was like, no. I'm not ready
Manchester
for that.
And you knew there were
it's
superior
Manchester.
people. Like,
no.
People who know me know I'm not as a devout fan as I was before, but I was a diehard United fan my whole life. And years ago, there's a story. You can go check out Frazer's podcast to find that story out. It's another story. Yeah. But so what was the reason why Manchester then not you saying no?
So I just didn't think I was ready for it. I was like,
it's a case of when I'm outside, and I found that even when I did an event this year back in my own city, and I had 200 corporate ladies there, and I was like, I'm in my own city. Yeah. And these are big people. And I've often done loads of events in my own city over the years, but it felt different. Whereas I go and I can be on stage at 5,000 or 10,000 somewhere else. Or even in those events when I had 18,000, and I was up there, I was like, I can be whoever I want. But when it's closer to home, it is a different energy because people know the real me. They know what I was like when I was 15. It's a different vulnerability. Was that the case?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I was so comfortable with what I knew. But then there was the other side of it, which was, what if I mess it up? And if I mess it up and the word spreads, oh, he's really bad on stage, like, don't get him at your event, that's it. I've lost my chance. Yeah. So I said...
This is a great example. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but like just for people listening, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who listen, a lot of career professionals who want to do something new. A lot of people who want to be speakers. You know, I get asked this a lot about being a speaker. It's a perfect example of, again, having to trust yourself.
Yeah.
So... you will get to where he is now. You'll be like, holy shit, like that you were back there also.
Mate, it got crazy because I decided, you know what? My dad always told me inconvenience exposes commitment. So if I kind of go, this is an inconvenience to me.
Definitely stealing that.
Yeah, right. Go for it, mate. 100%. You know, I think John Maxwell says the first time you give credit, the second time you say a friend of mine, the third time you say a wise man once told me, and the fourth one you say it's yourself. Yeah. And that was John Maxwell, I think. So if he said it, anyone,
he said it's definitely okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So I thought, you know what? I'm committed to this. I never intended to go down the route of being an international public speaker. Never. I didn't want to live the life on the road all the time in and out of hotel rooms. And the idea of living in a hotel room and getting the room service and using the leisure facility sounds great.
It's for a while.
For a week. And then it's like, you know, for a year or two, it's fun. But then, no. So I thought, screw it. What's the worst that can happen? And I arrived there and I see all these people with boards, you know, like the wooden boards, writing their names on it. And I look around and I see there's like a Tony Robbins style event organizer who is getting them to break boards, walk on broken glass. And I find out that I'm speaking after this and I'm like,
super.
Oh my days. These guys are having like huge breakthroughs, emotional crying, and I've got to go on stage. Went on stage. Was on for about 35 minutes or so. And everyone stood up and started clapping. Now, you know, in the UK, standing ovations don't happen.
They don't.
It's not like in America where, you know, you say hi and someone goes, right? It's just a different culture.
A different like, show them, like, you better earn this. Like,
yeah. So they all stood up. I was like, okay, whoa. And then people were asking me for photos. They don't do that in my own organization because that's just my mate that I'll see next week or I'll speak to on Zoom. Like, why would I want a photo with him now when I can just get one when we go traveling together? So I get all these photos and I'm like, oh my, hang on a minute.
This is serious, yeah.
The Monday after the event, Saturday, it was a Saturday event. Monday after, I get another message. Hey, would you come to Coventry in the UK? Come to this event. I was like, yeah, go on then. How much do you charge? Nothing. I'll do it for free. Wow. So I made a commitment, and this was at the first event as well. I'm just going to do it free for at least a year.
That takes serious cojones.
I needed to prove it to myself. Yeah, like the security, mate. Like it was.
But that shows you how loud the insecurity was, though. Because if there's any bit of ego there at all, it's going to be like, well, I just got to look at that reaction. Like I should be charging. And maybe you could have and should have had a little bit.
Well, they were saying, we'll cover your travel expenses. We'll put you in the hotel.
That was okay, right?
Yeah, we'll pay for your steak dinner. And I was like, nope.
Really?
Yeah, and then after that, I got invited.
You sound so noble right now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well,
and you're from Liverpool. There's a serious clash in my head here.
It's like, yeah, right. Well, like. So then I spoke to my dad. My dad said, "How much time is it taking to do the event?" I said, "Like 2 hours." He said, "No. Yeah. Like, what if you get sick?" And I did it the next one. Like, so I'm wiped out for a week. How much has that week just cost you? So I said, "What are you saying?" He said, you need them to pay you so that they value it just a little bit more. So I started charging I started charging for flights and accommodation.
Okay.
And I was traveling, I was going to Denmark, I went to Norway and all this big events, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, charging literally a Ryanair flight and a hotel room for 2 nights. And there was one event I went to and they'd left an envelope on the bed with my name on it. So I arrived, checked in, there was an envelope on my bed. I was like, this is weird. Opened it up and it was just like a letter saying like, we really appreciate you being here. We know that you're a servant to our industry. We know that you have the right intentions. And there was like 500 euros in cash. Wow. And I remember looking at 500 euros and almost breaking into tears.
Getting emotional, yeah.
Because I was like...
It was such a gesture though. It's from the heart also.
The 500 euros at that time was nothing. Didn't mean anything to me. But it was people actually want to pay me. So I went £2,500, £5,000.
Wow.
And I was getting more people. More people were like, I'm like, hang on a minute. Surely you put your prices up, you get less people. Yeah. Nope, wasn't working. The word was getting out. Again,
the key thing here is the value you were adding.
Right.
That's the point, right? It's not like, because there's a million speakers. And, we've been at events together, there's other speakers and there's just speakers. It's the value, it's the intention. And even I think it's the character, getting back to the whole kind of back to me thing. It was you being in alignment, but it was and I'm always talking, Jim Rohn says the secret to greatness, the service of others. I heard that first. That's the key. And I think I believe, and I talk about it today, like I believe we're rewarded. If you believe in God or universe, God rewards you when you use the gifts we have that God gave us, or your creator, whatever you believe in. But the more you use your gifts, the more you get in alignment. I always say you get into receiving mode. Yeah. People try to get out of alignment. That's why it's stressful. That's why they get burnt out. That's why it's exhausting. That's why they do bad things. When you focus on the alignment and you totally serve, you receive unexpectedly. You receive abundantly. Would you agree with that?
100%, mate. 100%. And I think a big thing for me was I was serving the people in an industry that I genuinely loved.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I got asked to speak at some different companies, big companies, and I just said no. And they said, why not? We'll pay you the fee. And I said, I'm not going to feel authentic there. Yeah. I'm not going to feel as appreciated there. When I walk into a network marketing room, I'm like, these are my people.
I know these people, yeah.
And it's funny because so many mentors have said, stop teaching just network marketers and teach everyone social media. No, I don't want to do it. Maybe that will change in the future. But right now, I just love that profession so much that, and maybe that's why they start hiring me more and they rehire me, because I'm not the keynote who goes, what time am I on? 1 p.m. Okay, I'll get there at 12:30. I'm speaking till 2 and then I'll get the flight at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm there the whole weekend sitting in the room. I'm the one who's celebrating the most. I'm a great believer in people will celebrate you to the level that you celebrate other people, whether you know them or not. So I'm like, celebrating like crazy. And it's just had a massive knock-on effect. Being paid to speak in 35 countries now, which is just nuts. Especially when my first event, I was breaking into tears on stage, and I genuinely look forward to the next one. It's not like an ego thing. Yeah. It's more of like it's a validation. Always needing the validation, even now. Like, it's the validation that like I'm appreciated in the space, I'm needed in the space. I've got fans and in the space. People are passing me my book and getting me to sign it. I'm like, it still feels weird. It's weird, yeah. Signing the books.
I remember the events outside, the big events after being on stage, people come for photos. And I remember it's not just girls or just whatever. I had big Serbian dudes like, can we get a photo? And you're like, this is such a strange feeling, like just dudes, because where we come from, the fellas aren't asking for a photo, and the people are coming up for photos, or after an event, or even at your event earlier in the year, like all the photos, the stand. It is still it's a strange thing, but I think once it's from the heart, from alignment, there's no ego. I often say that, like when I played basketball, I did other things and I got a great reaction. I'm like, yeah. But every time I speak and I get that feedback, it's just heart feels right.
100%.
It's a different thing, isn't it? Do you notice that? Like
the energy
the
is
heart,
unlike anything
mind,
I've ever had. And it's so funny because people now say, like, do you get nervous?
Yeah.
When I'm in a room of people who are doing what we do, I never get nervous. I never get nervous because
you know it. You know the character.
It's certainty. It's clarity. It's like it's just so much confidence that comes around. And I learned a long time ago that comparison kills confidence. Yeah. And every time, if I look at a speaker speaking, or I look at someone on social media, or I look at the life that someone's living on their stories, and I go, oh. Yeah. And then I'm like, whoa, why am I killing my confidence by comparing my life to theirs when everyone and this is one thing I would share, is that everyone posts the highlight of their life, right? And the trick to authenticity is sharing vulnerability. Like, how can you say I'm being 100% authentic when you're not sharing your darkest moments?
And everybody has them.
And you know what? It happened by mistake to me, that realization, because I'd heard it, like, you got to be authentic. Yeah. And this is like early days on social media, where like people aren't really teaching the keys to social media success, like be authentic and all this. So I was getting so much hate from like a really focused group who like felt like they'd had a meeting and said, right, let's take this guy down. Yeah. Right, he's got too much power now in our space. So I was getting hit with them, like, no, you're not doing this, you're rubbish, you haven't got this, you haven't got that, you live at your mum and dad's home, but all these like just low blows. And I was like, I'm going to rise above it. And I was just in a really bad energy. And at the time, our family home was being sold. So, because my dad has multiple sclerosis, it has 3 floors, it was huge. It was taking him like 2 hours to walk downstairs. Right. So they decided to sell it and build their own big bungalow. So we were living at my mum's house. So my nan's house, right? And I walked in from like the office. I was super low. My nan said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I hated that I lied to her. Yeah. Now, that's still a lie. Yeah. I just hated the idea that I lied to my nan. So I got in the car, I drove to Tesco's, for our international friends, Tesco's, Walmart, or Target, or whatever, right? Like a supermarket. And I got some milk, didn't need milk, just got some milk. So I was just thinking, like, I've just lied to my nan. Like, I got to tell someone, I can't keep it inside. Like, I need to just project it off. So I went into the car, I went, sod it, I'm going to go live. Put the camera on, I had a bottle of water. And my intention was just to tell the story. Hey guys, hope you're doing good, like blah, 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 blah. I want to tell you a story. I've been getting hammered with hate, and all of a sudden, whack, started crying. Yeah. And I never intended to. It wasn't like one of those things like put pepper in your eyes and like just cry. And then, it was like genuine
emotion now.
Really raw. Yeah. I got the bottle of water. I remember taking the water just to try and calm myself, and the water ran out. And in 48 hours after that live, I had 1,300 personal messages and emails saying, "Ignore the haters, we love you, we wouldn't be here without you." And it was at that moment that I realized a lot of people in the industry, they say like, don't be negative to your downline, don't be negative around because it shows weakness. I realized that vulnerability isn't negativity. Vulnerability is being authentic, which is positive. Thing. It's like my superpower. So from that moment onwards, when I went on stage, when I spoke at events, when I was online, I just gave it all. I was crying on stage. I was being my crazy self, a little bit exaggerated, but for the benefit of the audience. And that was the moment that just changed everything. A week after that live, Eric Warre texted me and was like, "Hey, I want to collaborate." And since then, for the last 5 years, we've been collaborating.
Mega, crazy. What a breakthrough! But again, come back to trusting yourself, surrendering, letting go, letting go. Back to me, let go of everything that you're not. You held it in with your nan. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel right. Horrible. Someone who's very self-aware, you could feel it like something in you, and you had to let it go, and you did. You shared it with your audience, and this was because I remember. Through network marketing, through Eric Worre, like, me and Eric were kind of friendly at that time because of different things on stage. And some people know it, follow me for a while, some good competition and healthy accountability. So I knew who you were, being in Vegas at GoPro as well. And I used to see you, I don't know how we initially got connected, just probably through the space and we kind of, if you're in network marketing for long enough time, or you play at a high enough level, you contribute enough, you find out who's serious and who's not, right? Yeah. So I used to see you on Facebook on that Tuesday night, and I was like, this dude, like, like, I know he's from Liverpool, we'll get past that. This dude just never, like, he always shows up. And I remember talking to me, like, who's this guy? Like, just fucking never stops. Yeah. And then I'd see like a post, and I'd see 300-400 comments, thousands of likes. And to this day, it's like this.
Yeah.
You know, Frazer posts something, it's like hundreds of comments, thousands of likes, hundreds of shares. And I'm like, this dude just shows up all the time, like just consistently. And one of my biggest things was always, I don't want to commit to a time every week. Like this is just a bullshit story I was telling myself, you know. And I'd rather be busy, crazy all over the place, but don't make me, because there was this resistance to authority, like school, you have to be there, you know, don't commit. And since then, when I launched Back to Me, and I commit every month, and it's a game changer. But you did that for years, and people. I see you now. And we have chats now. We have coffees and lunches, and we talk about numbers, and we talk about not charging from events, and now where you're at now, what you charge for a keynote. It's like to get Frazer to speak at your event. And every time I come away from meeting with you, I'm like, damn, I need to charge more. I'm way too humble here. Like, I need to be more like Frazer. But like, it was consistency is the key, dude. Like, and that's one thing I have to give you credit publicly is I saw you from a distance, even before we became friends and got to know each other well. And I had such respect for the effort and the consistency. And you fucking deserve all the success you have.
I appreciate it. You know what? I get asked that a lot, like about like, or people ask about the whole consistency thing. Number one, obviously, I love what I do. And I love the people who I'm working with. And a lot of people give shade or talk bad about network marketing. Forget the business model. Forget the whole pyramid thing stuff. The people involved, they're involved because they want to grow. And anyone talking bad about that, shame on them.
Yeah.
Because yes, the model gets criticized and all that, but the people just want to grow. They want to change, and no one should be knocked for that. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is I'm a great believer in alignment. I know you are freaking masterful at this. You talk about it a lot. Like being in alignment for me is super important. And I realize like there's kind of two bars. There's the vision bar. So like the level of what your vision is your vision to be an 8-figure income earner, 7-figure income earner, 6-figure income earner? Is it to be a loving husband? Is it to have 2 kids and a dog? Is it what is that? And you talk about it a lot, like designing your life, designing your day, designing your future, all that. So I've got that. The other bar is the clarity and the belief that I have in the plan to get there. And if that is not aligned, I'll never be consistent. So like if I've got a vision to be have a $100 million company. That's not my vision, but let's say it is. My vision is to become the number one valuable asset in network marketing. And I genuinely believe it won't happen until I've left the world. Like your Picasso moment, that when you leave, it's like, oh, we miss him. So like this vision, so the clarity and the belief, if I don't have clarity and belief in the plan to do that, so I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do it, yes, I can get going, but I can't stay going. But the moment that I lose alignment, I realize that I didn't do anything this week. And I have to go, right, is the vision real? Do I still want that? Like authentically, truly? Or am I just doing it because I'm trying to be a beacon for other people? Right? Which is what I've grown up being, like do it for other people, show other people the way. But I can't show people the other way if I'm not consistent. So I have to sometimes, you know what? Let's go with the shorter vision right now, like a smaller vision right now, just so that I can get the consistency. And then, okay, right. So it's the clarity and the belief, knowing, and it's sometimes just someone tapping you on the shoulder. Like for you, for example, saying, hey, I'm watching you, I'm seeing you, keep it up. When I'm like, do I need to make a change? And then there's people like Aidan or there's other people who are like, keep doing it.
Keep going.
It's awesome. I'm like, okay, clarity.
In our last chat, you said that to me, and it's like, bro, this like, wow. And I'm like, well, just that. And that's why it's so important to have the right people around you. Absolutely.
We all need it, man. We all need it. It's so simple. But you know what? I've realized over the years, it's the simple things that work. It really is. Like, you know, when you hear like Google Maps, for example, right? You think, I was talking to Svetlana about this, my wife, last night. We were saying, remember when like you used to ask for directions? And then now, you used to get a map, and then you used to draw the route, and then you would follow the route that you went on. Now you just open your phone, you put it, I mean, you sent me the directions to here. I'm like, all right, there we go, turn left, da-da-da-da. That is the simplest thing ever. But it changes life. Simplicity is sexy, it's simple, it scales. It's just, it's everything. So we need to simplify a lot in life.
Come back to the vision, like hunger. A lot of people today, I feel like coach a lot of young guys, a lot of entrepreneurs as well, companies. And sometimes their hunger is not there. There's almost an expectation and entitlement. But that hunger, and even for myself at times, the hunger, because again, we're like guys like us come from normal places, normal families. You know, that's why I think we love network marketing audience, because it was, for me, network marketing shaped me, like who I had to become, as Jim Rohn says, not what you get, it's who you become. Like the skills I learned, thousands of meetings, hundreds of no's, loads of rejection, teams in other countries, just this ability to, and that's reading people, seeing everything, the resilience that comes from it. And you get tough. And sometimes you think, you know, as a simple person coming from a simple life, and I mean that in the best way possible, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm doing well now, I live a good life. Like one thing I know is that hunger, that drive is there. Like even for myself, sometimes like I'm good, but I'm chilling. You know, I want to enjoy with my fiance. I love saying that still, my fiance. Still loving that.
Mate,
Shout out to you, baby. Loving my fiance thing. I feel like next level man stuff, you know, putting a ring on it.
It unlocks another level.
Next level.
It does.
And that's actually, for me, it activated
again.
certainty, and then the vision again. It just solidified the vision even more and more deeper purpose, right? It's beautiful. Talk to me about that drive and that hunger, because as I say, sometimes I lose it. I see with you, and again, maybe it's, I don't want to just say it's on social media, because I know you, it's there every time we talk. Where does it come from, and when does the vision extension stop? Like, does that make sense?
I love this. Yeah. So I think,
because you're a guy, I'm sorry again to interrupt you, but you're doing very well, right? Just for the guys, he's doing very well all over the world, successful, big brand, great inner circle, you know, big following. Like at what point, and people often say, what's enough? Yeah. Talk to me about your feeling around this and where you're at.
So there's a few things. So the first one, like hunger, you gotta be hungry, you gotta be willing, you gotta be coachable, right? The kind of three most important things. But I'm a great believer. I like to take theories that people talk about and put them into real life. So if I'm hungry, I go into the fridge or I make some food and I'm not hungry anymore. Yeah. So once I've got the hunger for something and I fulfill that, I've lost it. Yeah. Just like motivation, like if you motivate, people talk about motivation so much, man. Yeah. Like you go to the gym and you go on the cross trainer or whatever, you go on the row machine, you lift some weights, your heart is motivated to pump the blood around the body. Once you go home, you kind of chilled out for a bit, you had a shower, whatever, protein shake, your heart just goes back to normal. It's no longer motivated. So motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you going. The hunger has to be for the vision. It can't just be for that goal. I think you got to be hungry for the vision and not for the goal. Because when you reach the goal, done. And one thing, I think the realization came for me when I had like a really big milestone. I think it was the millionaire status.
Okay.
And I remember sat there, I refreshed my bank and I had all the details because I knew I was getting close, and I refreshed it, had the commission come in. I was like, and I was expecting some brass band to come in. Congratulations, are you getting an award? Like, well done. Yeah. Nothing happened. Yeah. And I was like, I've tied myself to that goal for so long, and nothing magical happened. So the vision was like super important. I also read, I think it was actually Eric who told me on a yacht here in Dubai a few years ago. He said to me, "What's next?" Because like you've been doing all this. What's the next goal? And I didn't have an answer. Okay. And he said, true entrepreneurs always have a what's next. And I hated hearing that. Yeah. And I genuinely think, I was like, what? Can I just have a day where there's nothing next? I just want to be able to chill out. And I've been thinking about it. And I was so resistant because I thought, no, I'm happy where my life is. I got comfortable. You mentioned comfortable, right? Yeah. And another friend of mine, he uses a great analogy of in the UK we have a lot of dog racing. I think in Ireland as well, right? Greyhound racing. Greyhounds, yeah. So the greyhound, for those of you who aren't aware of greyhound racing, the greyhounds, 6 of them or so, are lined up in a cage, and then a gun goes off and the rabbit starts going around the track. And the rabbit is always 5 to 10 meters away. Yeah. So they can smell it, they can see it, but they'll never ever catch it. It's designed that way. Now in the analogy, the dog racing track is achievement is fulfillment. The rabbit is achievement, and the idea is you'll never win the race of fulfillment chasing after the rabbit of achievement. Okay. So I shifted at that moment. He said it for me to have a goal, but I looked at it. Hang on a minute. If I'm always saying, I want to make $1 million, or another $1 million, or another $1 million, or I want to speak on this stage, I'll never be fulfilled. So I started to write. You actually mentioned this, and it kind of set the seed for me to really start. I started to write down my perfect day. Yeah. My perfect day, what makes me happy, what fills my energy, what makes me fulfilled, all this. So it was like playing golf, have a barbecue, sit down with Svetlana in the jacuzzi and just discuss life, play with the baby, watch a movie, watch some football, all these things, like a decent day, get some rest, go to the gym, whatever, all these things. And I looked at that and I just smiled, so, like, weirdly. If anyone was just watching, they would have gone, "What's he smiling about?" But I could feel my energy. I could just feel it, and there was no achievement. Yeah. It was not break 80 whilst playing golf. Yeah. There was not make the perfectly cooked steak. Nothing. No. It was more hearing the sizzle and the on the San Pellegrino, whatever. It was sound based. It was feeling based. It was not results driven.
You're speaking my language, bro.
But mate, it was everything. And I went from being burnt out big thing during COVID.
Yeah.
I doubled down. A lot of people pooped their pants.
Yeah.
I went, nope. When the storm hits, you double down. When the storm hits, when you're on a ship, the captain goes, all hands on deck. Exactly. They don't go, okay, let's just chill out for a bit. All hands on deck. So I burnt out big time. And I realized it's because I was just chasing the achievement. So my version of entrepreneurship, which is not sexy for the new generation, they want the watches, they want the cars, they want the houses, they want the clothes, they want the $1,000 shoes.
Yeah.
Mine is more because we want to play long term, right? We don't want to just win for the short term. We want to break records every single year. It's more what's making me happy, because that is what's going to have a knock-on effect.
I'm so glad you said that, and that's such a beautiful answer. You know, I'm always talking about the guys here, the vision. You don't think of your future, think from it, because when you have that feeling of that future, and I call it the awake. It's not the future you're past you, it's the awake you or the asleep you. I believe that's an awakened version of you. The asleep version is I need to get this, I need to have that, I'm attached. The awake version is how do I feel good every day. And when you had that feeling, it changed your feeling now. So then that morning, that day, you change before actions come feelings, you chose different actions from that vision. Yeah. And this is the key I'm saying to the guys all the time about vision, because that empowers you every moment from every choice. And that's why I talk about awareness over discipline. When you have clarity, it leads to confidence. That confidence allows you to, what do I really want? What kind of life do I want to live? I'm choosing from that. I'm not thinking of that. So that's beautiful. And I love what you said about the goals and the vision, because for me, the vision is the mothership, I always say. The goals just help you maintain the standards. Yeah. They're the pixels in the big screen of your vision. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, that mate, that'll be a short coming soon.
Bars. The goals are the pixels to make the picture even clearer. And so when I say like, so I'm someone who runs, I love to run. That's my vision of being healthy, strong, and fit. I have to run. Running a marathon was just a pixel in that bigger picture. It just helped me maintain the standard.
And it's so funny you say that, because I love that. Is gold, by the way. So gold. My dad always said, if I gave you one piece of 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, you would not be able to tell me the bigger picture. Yeah. And the goal is to collect the pieces. Wow. Right? But like, I've never heard what you just said there. Okay. Right, which is way more modern than a jigsaw.
But it's beautiful. I meet your dad. This is beautiful. I didn't meet your dad actually.
No,
I remember now.
Right, but still, it's so important. But and now we've had the baby.
Yeah.
I look back to when I was the kid growing up with my mum and dad, and I saw them work hard, help other people, live a very happy marriage, travel around the world, always be positive, be so positive that people wouldn't invite them places because they were so positive. Because it's just like, it's just northwest of the UK.
They're not talking
like,
about the weather, they're not talking about the government or the economy, they're talking about don't
make us feel bad by being so positive. And I think now she's around, I need her, not want, I need her to see Dad is happy. And if he's happy, I can be happy. Because environment, just you mentioned it before, environment is just so key. And she's only going to really feel that when I believe it, because they just, they feed so much on the energy.
Everything is energy.
Like, I always smile with like an open mouth. It's just what I do, right? Because I used to walk around, with my hand over my mouth because I had a really bad smile, and people would make fun of me and bully me about it. Not big time bullying, but enough to make me feel bad, right?
Stuff
I start like smiling at like this, and now she's starting to. It's just 10 months, right? So now she's starting to. She's trying really hard. And I'm like, I've not been teaching her it. It's just I'm doing it all the time that she's noticing it.
Yeah, that's how.
So I need where's Dad? He's playing golf because that's what he loves to do. Wow. He comes back and he's fully attentive, and then he's doing his calls, and he comes off and he's super buzzed up, and he's got massive adrenaline, and I do everything to feel good, because when I feel good, I call it FAR, F-A-R. When I feel good, I do good. Take activity. And when I do good, I get good, which is the results.
But receive, which is you receive when you get that, you receive the most.
But when you receive the most, how do you feel?
Exactly.
You feel good. So when you feel good, you get good. When you get good, you do good. When you do good, you get good. When you get good, you feel. But when you feel
crap, can see why we get along. So
I still don't know how. I still don't know how. Manchester, Liverpool is. Oof.
But this transcends the truth. Truth transcends everything else. More bars. You can see why there's 2 books coming instead of one. Too many bars.
But mate, but that's everything I do now. The vision has to make me feel good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a vision that's tied to what they want people. So the people have the vision to have the red Ferrari because they see other people think that I will look cool if I drive the red Ferrari.
Yeah.
If you have a bad back by driving the red Ferrari, flipping sell it and get something that's comfortable. Because again, like when you feel good, when you feel bad, you wake up on a Monday morning, oh, I can't be bothered with this week. You don't do anything. When you don't do anything, you get bad results. When you get bad results,
you feel terrible.
It's so
fulfilling.
But it's simple. Yeah. Everything we shared here is simple, but people think it's so simple.
It can't be enough. Like Jim Rohn says, success is the refined study of the obvious. Like it is, it's all, I always say a lot of this stuff isn't easy, but it is simple. We could talk all day. We don't have much time. One thing I want to change direction slightly, and I think the story is so inspirational. I think people are going to get so much from this. So thanks for being so transparent, which I knew you would.
Of course, man.
But just talk about, you do so much on social media, and there's a lot of people out there who want to build a personal brand. They want to be a little bit. I think we want to do a second episode all about the business if you're up for it, because I have a feeling. I wanted to get this version of you, the Authentically You side out. But I think there's so much for the entrepreneurs, and you know about another project I'm doing shortly for entrepreneurs and corporate professionals. So I would love to have you back to talk more about that. But if we could just give them a taste of it before we finish up, in terms of staying authentically you on social media, to build a personal brand, to build a business, because, you know, again, you started network marketing, but you've kind of transcended it in a lot of ways, even through the social media training. I know you've kind of three elements. You have network marketing, you have social media, and then kind of mindset, right?
Yeah.
But from the, and I think throughout your own story, we're seeing the mindset a lot. From the social media today, what's your feeling of it today? What is the opportunity for people today watching this who think, should I go all in on social media? How much of myself should I show? What's the opportunity, and what's kind of a message for people to stay authentically you on social media? Because it's easy to get pulled.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'll tell a story, real quick one. So a few years ago, my granddad passed away. Now, I look like my granddad. And my granddad was the guy who's on the edge of his seat watching the Liverpool football games, shouting at the TV as if he's on the sideline. Okay. So my uncle used to be the physio at Liverpool. So my granddad, who is his like father-in-law, right? He used to go to the game, and they used to go sit in the dugout. Wow. And they even used to go into the room at half time because they all loved him. And he was shouting, if he was always there. And when he passed away, we were going through some of his stuff, and we found like a letter. And it's very emotional for me. Every time I go back to this sound, I'm like, oh my God. And he wrote like the day. It was not a journal. It was just one piece of paper that was like ripped out of a journal, but there was no journal. And it was saying things like, I absolutely loved seeing the kids play football in the park. Mike, which is one of my oldest cousins, scored an amazing goal. It was a team effort, and they all celebrated together. Something along the lines of nothing in life compares to the feeling I get being around my family. When I read that, everything changed on social media, because a lot of people post their like things to make them look better instead of things to make people become better. Wow. But my perspective,
it's a bar and a half.
Right?
It's a bar and a half.
But mate, it's true though. But my perspective was, when I leave, Mia, my baby, is going to have all this content that she's going to be able to watch, read, comment on. What do I want her to see? Do I want her to see me lying on the bonnet of a Ferrari? Yeah. I don't have a Ferrari, by the way.
That would be a hell of a calendar.
Right. We should maybe, mate.
We should look at this.
No one's buying that.
This is, if you want to get that income to another level, I think you on a bonnet of a Ferrari.
You could be the photos. And I'll just be like the faces on like with a one in front of my face or something, and two in front of my face. But mate, that is how everyone should do it. And if they don't have a future family, you're not thinking big enough, because eventually there's going to be someone there who's going to miss you when you're gone. Yeah. And if there's not, it's because you're not giving the value. So if you're afraid of going on social media, you're being selfish. Because if you don't win on social media, who loses? At the end of the day, if you don't show up and show the world, like show your future generations, hang on a minute, dad or mum was a flipping boss. Look at the value here. Look at this story. Look at where they travel to.
Just a pride.
Look at the associations. Look at the comments. People saying, you're awesome, you're awesome. I know my dad's awesome. I know my mum's awesome. But all these people think the same as well. I must be right. So that's the perspective. Talk about things that you love talking about. Don't talk about things that you think people need to know. Talk about things that you love. Connect to people who you believe are matching to the things that you love. Hence, talk about network marketing. Connect with network marketers. Then with time, people will fall in love with what you're talking about, and then they will engage. I call it the MATE acronym. I'm from the UK. I'm
serious
from the
acronym game.
Mate, I love
acronym game strong. Hashtag acronym game here.
I don't even know how to spell acronym, mate. It's that I'm from Liverpool. I don't think we teach English over there. We just teach Scouse. So MATE, the right message in front of the right audience with the right time, which we can't control. It just happens. You just be consistent. Creates engagement.
Dude.
So do it for the long term.
Thank God this is recorded.
Oh yeah, we're
mates.
I had no idea.
I didn't tell you there's cameras here the whole time.
Wow. Oh, that's what these are doing. So do it for the long term. Do it for the vision. Do it for the future generation. Do it for helping other people.
Yeah.
Don't have to post the filtered version of you looking amazing. Post a story, post something that you're proud of other people seeing in the future.
That's, like even me, the ad photos, you don't really like how you look, you know. And on the story, sometimes you flick over for the all smooth. And I remember my fiance, is why I'm marrying her, guys. She's just the best. Like, what are you doing that for? You look unbelievable. That's just showing naturally. I love your face. I love this. This is beautiful. Why are you trying to? And I'm like, really? You know, like, even though you might have heard it your whole life or you might have heard it from other people, but when someone you love says, just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this is great.
I
don't even like to have someone, just be you.
But that's one of my favorite parts about being in a loyal, committed, trustworthy relationship.
Yeah.
It's that I can genuinely be. If you can't be authentic at home, how can you be authentic online?
Yeah.
Like, because it has a knock-on effect. If you're not being authentic at home, you're going online and you're being complete. So then there's two people.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be around
it's
people
so
who
freeing
can be,
though, right? It's so freeing. And then you think,
amazing.
I have everything. Actually, I don't care how it goes because I have everything I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a beautiful message.
Yeah.
We have so much we can still go on. We could definitely do 3 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
The last thing, and we'll keep it short because I know you have to go and we both have to go right now, but it's just packed with value. Just thanks so much for sharing.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Any message again for the people to find that, and that was such a beautiful message. We could leave on that, but I'm just going to squeeze one more out of you, just for people to get back to their highest self, to focus on them today. A lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of distraction. I think you answered it beautifully. But could you add anything to help people just really find themselves and to trust themselves?
Honestly, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but they have to have you in their life. They have to. So a lot of people, they'll try and be authentically themselves, but the people who they surround themselves will put them down. So they'll start saying like, I started meditating. Oh, why are you doing that? Oh, I started reading this bunk, like the Think Like a Monk book or whatever. Yeah. The monk who drove the Ferrari or whatever. And they're like, why monks wouldn't drive a Ferrari, right? And they start putting them down. They have to be surrounded by people who appreciate and understand that instead. Because a lot of people are like, oh, especially if we go into the pubs in Ireland or we go into the pubs in Liverpool and we start saying things like, I've had a great week. They'll be like, get out.
Fuck off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they probably would say it's a headbutt, right? So, like, you get, and by the way, the lip is nothing to do with that, right? It's just
we're just fighting two punks outside before we came in, actually.
Yeah. So, surround yourself with Aidan. I'm not going to say people like Aidan because you're a one-off, you're a one of a kind, you're a unicorn. So get around, brainwash yourself with the podcast, go to events that you're a part of. If you hear that Aidan's in town, if you hear that you're in town, then do your best to get there. Because truly, like and I believe that leaders aren't necessarily readers, but leaders are definitely seeders. And you will plant a seed in someone, whether it's through the podcast, whether it's through the events, whether it's through the books, whether it's through whatever, that's going to make them go, oh, okay, I need to complete. One of the reasons why I moved to Dubai was to get away from the people who, I was at that level, I kept hitting the level, got away from my family and my friends who I love dearly. However, as soon as I left that environment and joined a new one, explosions. So get around you.
Well, and I'm so glad I asked that question. Frazer, it's been an absolute pleasure and a joy. Thank you so much, my friend. We're definitely doing it again. I'm getting you to commit.
For sure, man.
That we're doing it. We're in town. We're going to do it together.
Handshake. I like that strategy.
Where can people find you?
Here with this episode for sure, and then
I will link everything below for sure. Yeah.
No, if you like podcasts, I have a Network Marketing Ninja podcast, but it is network marketing based. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook. But if you like podcasts, then I've got a podcast. If you like YouTube, I have a YouTube.
I think there's so much value what Frazer does, especially on the social media, around the mindset strategies. Even though it's network marketing focused, a lot of it crosses over. So definitely check out Frazer, check out some of his stuff. Thanks again, my friend. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Guys, if you like that episode, make sure you leave a rating, subscribe. That's how more people are going to see it, hear it. Leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys on social media, on Instagram. Send me a message, send me a DM. It means a lot when I hear from you guys because that actually feeds me. Like we talked in this episode, that feeds me to do more of it. So, send us both a message if you liked what you heard today. Let us know you liked it. Again, share it with someone who this would add value to. It's free, it costs nothing. It's a win for you, it's a win for them, it's a win for us. Everybody wins. I will see you guys in the next episode.